In this video, we'll be going over who wins. The True Form Omniversal God or Impingence Godzilla. Now, for this fight will be interesting because it will have a stop motion or an animation to it. But it's based on the little knowledge we know about Impingence. But let's just get to the Omniversal God's feats. The Omniversal God stands around immeasurable or just irrelevant height. He can change his height to whatever he wants, but normally he's around 800 feet tall or sometimes 1,000. But we're just going to go with the 700 to 800 foot range. He has abilities of reality warping, pure energy beam, absolute destruction, basically complete resistance to death. He has an infinite layers of mortality. You really cannot kill him, but let's get to his opponent. Impingence Godzilla probably coming in around 450 to 425 feet tall, on the shorter end for some reason, and has all the abilities of Godzilla X, the Imposter Godzilla, and Vengeance Godzilla basically combined. Can use any of those abilities, but also has his forms are kind of different. Since neither of them share any forms, there are different types of forms they have, unless both of them combined in a super form. Let's say GXI Godzilla and Vengeance Godzilla both combined in their final forms, True Comp and Silver. You get a True Comp Burning Silver Godzilla, which would be really broken, but he can't naturally reach that form. But he does have a final form that's not that, which is stronger than either of the two final forms. So, the Omniversal God's feats basically created the entire Godzilla verse, which has the Vengeance verse, the Raidzilla verse, that's just the Godzilla X Destroyer verse, the Masszilla verse, and some even say LK Godzilla verse, but that's really iffy. We don't know. Probably not, because that's not canon. The entire Godzilla verse itself, and has created time and everything. He's existed before time. He fought Destroyer in the past, who is stronger than currently everyone in the entire series, except for True Comp Burning. He's slightly weaker than True Comp Burning, Destroyer that he fought at that time period. He's able to create different clones or just versions of himself, his physical versions, that can destroy entire timelines. So basically ease. Can destroy a whole multiverse, hyperverse, outerverse, omniverse, all of that, just with a flick of the wrist. And yes, Vengeance Godzilla had his own outerverse, hyperverse, omniverse in his original timeline. And that was destroyed. And his physical form could basically destroy everything. Could destroy all the infinite timelines and everything if they wanted to. And remember, the True Form Omniversal God would just one-shot his physical form. And then, basically, his mock True Form is also getting able to easily destroy those physical forms. A physical form has no way of beating it, and he can match the likes of GXI Godzilla at full power in his thermal form, and Hell and Voidzilla. But when Hell Godzilla went into his god form, he couldn't fight him. Now, let's just say the True Form Omniversal God has all the feats that were accomplished by his physical version in Mock True Form. Just say that he completely upscales it, and you cannot really scale them to each other. It's too high of a bar. You're not going to get they're not even close at all. It's not close. So, what has he done that is an accomplishment? Fight off Vengeance Godzilla, GXI Godzilla, Masszilla, Hell Godzilla, and Voidzilla all at once with basic ease, just throwing them around and just beating them senseless. Just one flick of a tail sent Hell Godzilla flying. The same Hell Godzilla who can one-shot a Mock True Form, which by itself could solo the entire series of GXI, excluding Hell Godzilla's final form, could really solo the entire series. Not even close. So, now back to that, we gotta get to... He was able to knock that same Hell Godzilla out of his final form with one beam, knock GXI Godzilla out of his thermal form with one beam, and knock Hell Godzilla out, Vengeance Godzilla, Voidzilla out of his god form with one shot. His beam can basically one-shot everyone in the series. he can perception blitz other characters, and the only one who's on his level of speed is the imposter. But if the imposter didn't have the sword up, it would have just been evaporated. And the true form Omniversal God could easily destroy the knife, the same knife that can tank all forms of GXI Godzilla's atomic breath. And that knife would have been destroyed if he actually wanted to. He didn't really care. He just blew it out of his hand. And he can just one-shot anyone out of their God forms. Unless you're True Comp Burning. The true form Omniversal God is also capable of godly reality warping. Yes, he didn't really show much. Why would he have to? He's fighting against someone who he can literally, using 0% power, just like eviscerate. But he can make you disappear. He can turn you into something else, like a completely separate being, like what he did in his physical form to GXI Godzilla. He can erase you from existence with ease. He can destroy your timeline with ease. He can destroy the entire verse. He can create copies of himself. He can summon copies of himself. And he can just create a new timeline if he wants. And he can, like, basically do whatever he wants with his powers. His reality warping is only limited by himself and his imagination. And this is an Eldritch God-like creature. So, like, I think he has a really good one. He's also extremely intelligent and was able to create sentient life all by himself with his powers. I mean, there's really nothing that can really fight against him. He has no concerns. And he was able to fight against True Comp Burning, who could literally solo everyone. Who can walk through the Vengeance verse with ease and every other verse. And he tanked being from True Comp Burning Godzilla that get irrelevantly stronger every single time. Like, the amount of strength these beams get after each one is fired is just, it's beyond infinite. It is really crazy. And only Eva Godzilla can only take 3 of those beams before getting erased from existence. True Form Omniversal God took that and multiple pulses and punches. He was only completely destroyed when he was completely overpowered and gone. And just gone. He doesn't exist in the timeline anymore. Yes, he's immune to all of that stuff, but the amount of power that this guy had above him just negated all of it. But he has godly regen. He can absorb any user's power. He tried that against True Comp Burning. Yes, he couldn't do anything because you can absorb any power you want from him, but you won't get as strong as him. But you can absorb that to make him multiple times more powerful. And he can just crush you into nothingness. Oh, the True Form Omniversal God, that's him. That's where he goes. Now the theoretical but still canon Impingens Godzilla. The fusion between Godzilla, the Imposter Godzilla, and Vengeance Godzilla. Base form up to Silver or Kaiser or Thermal, just not True Comp Burning, because that would be a weird fusion. But when they fuse, they go into base Impingens. And this is the multiplication of both powers of Vengeance Godzilla and GXI. The fusion works, that multiplies the power of the users. That means all of their power. I'm not excluding their final forms. It multiplies the power between their final forms, their most power, all the power they have in them, dormant, potentially, is multiplied to create the fusion, and then given an immeasurable amount of powerful boost. Multiple times over. So that means this guy packs a powerful punch. And it's coming from the most powerful characters in the GXI verse. Some of them, because Vengeance Godzilla is not the most powerful Godzilla. He's up there, but he's not. But he's the perfect one for the fusion. His fusion would be the stronger one out of any of the Godzillas, even though he's slightly weaker than a couple of them. Just because of the versatility and more abilities just being better. And this is why that fusion's the best one. Blockbuster Godzilla would be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be a cool fusion, but never gonna happen. I mean, how are you expecting me to make that? I don't even know what it looked like. But this fusion has all the powers of GXI Godzilla and Vengeance Godzilla squished together. Basically, cannot die. Completely immortal. Has basically like the Omniverse God, infinite layers of immortality. Can use supercharged. I haven't even really decided on him, but he is broken. In a statement I said in one of my community polls, he could basically solo the entire verse, the Vengeance and the GXI verse. He's more powerful than any of the big names in the verse. This fusion could be used, but the only drawback to this is it only has a 40-minute fusion, and if it's done incorrectly, 35-minute fusion, if this is done incorrectly, well, the fusion will be much weaker. It won't look any different. It will just be much weaker. It will just be adding the two powers together. And by adding the two powers, it'll only be like, whatever. I don't even know how to explain it. It only adds the powers together. That means, the True Form Omniverse God would stomp that fusion. That fusion would still stomp the physical form Omniverse God, but would give the True Form Omniverse God, like, not much of a hard time probably. And that fusion is weaker than Hell Godzilla's Hellbat form if they did it incorrectly. That's saying something. But yeah, that's what would happen. But where is he ranked? He could definitely take out the entire verse. But with only a 35-minute time limit and a 40-minute cooldown, he has to, even though he's more powerful than everyone else, he would have to finish off the job really fast. And if he doesn't, they basically just go back into base form or whatever form they were in. And then whatever character they're fighting is most likely so much more powerful than them, would just completely stomp. This guy would also be able to use the impenetrable force field and have Vengeance Godzilla's reality warping, GXI Godzilla's just crazy regen adaptability, Vengeance's power absorption, and just this form. And both Godzillas have so many abilities, it's just mad insane. Like the amount of abilities these two have, and also teleportation would be nasty with this guy. The atomic breath would most likely, his base atomic breath would probably be purple. It's a combination between magenta and blue. So their beam would most likely be purple. So it's like purple, like a hollow purple, like an instant delete button. And the power of the fusion will always be more powerful than both individual users. They will never reach the power level of the fusion. The fusion is the most powerful they can get together, as possibly. And if they died in the fusion, they died together. The characters will both die. But what happens if they use too much power? It doesn't split them. It doesn't make the timer go down slower or faster. They have the same time period, but once the timer goes off, then they would have to split. And for basically like durability, just say anything GXI or Vengeance Godzilla has ever survived at all throughout their whole series, and just multiply them together and upscale it by like an immeasurable amount. Like these guys can put down almost anyone you put up against them, maybe even Destroya, who will appear in the future, but we don't know. It might be a very close fight though, but what you would have to know is that Vengeance Godzilla is no joke and could one-shot most like 90% of the entire cast in base, not even counting his supercharged form that he has. and some other forms he has we just haven't seen. But all that known right now is he has a supercharge. That's really it. Maybe like a Silver Kaiser Godzilla, but only knows that he has supercharge. And Red Spiral, which every Godzilla has. But that's Impingence Godzilla. Now we'll see who wins this death battle. Impingence Godzilla versus the True Form Omniversal God. Death battle. It's time for a death battle. Well, that was a death battle, wasn't it? Well, I mean, what did you expect? Did you really think the True Form Omniversal God would actually win? This fight wasn't close, by any means. Impingence Godzilla took strength. Well, actually, before I even say, let's break it down into like 4 categories. We got strength, durability, abilities, and X Factor. Strength. Impingence Godzilla easily took that. I mean, True Comp Burning Godzilla was far stronger than the True Form Omniversal God, and Impingence Godzilla is multiple times over stronger than True Comp Burning Godzilla. Speed was the interesting one, because the True Form Omniversal God, we don't know if he's faster than True Comp Burning, but he's most likely slower, and if he's slower, then Impingence Godzilla is going to be much faster, because Impingence Godzilla is much stronger and much faster than True Comp Burning. He can also just teleport, which would be really useful. So that with the Impingence abilities, I still think the True Form Omniversal God should take this. Yes, Impingence Godzilla has an insane amount of abilities, but the True Form Omniversal God still has more. He has a ton of abilities we didn't even see. Impingement Godzilla is just the amount of abilities that GXI and Vengeance Godzilla have, plus some extra new ones. But overall, I still think that Impingement Godzilla wouldn't take this category. Now, X Factor. Who could put down who first? Now, this is an interesting one because if Impingement Godzilla didn't last, and if he didn't finish off his enemy, let's say the True Form Versus God, the True Form Versus God could have put down Vengeance and GXI Godzilla. Could easily kill Vengeance Godzilla, or just put GXI down to exhaustion where it could just absorb him. Or completely eradicate him. This fight was not close, but close at the same time. Because if Impingement Godzilla didn't finish the job, he would have defused and he would have been, the two Godzilla GXI Vengeance would have been eviscerated. I hope you liked the death battle, and I'm out. Peace.